want to watch and listen to our show each and every week, we're on YouTube Live via Zoom. So there's been some stressful moments here. Scott, we have to admit, you look at me quizzically on the camera, but it all works out. Paulie's working. He's like a duck with the feet going 100 miles an hour, but he's very calm on top.
Quack, quack.
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
A number one first round draft pick, extremely good hockey player with the Winnipeg Ice. We get to see him a lot here, and boy, he has a lot of talent, a lot of upside on him too. But they've decided that Eichel's their man, that he's the first line center that they need, and so they're going to let him have the operation he wants to have. Buffalo would not let him have that operation. Buffalo has finally moved him, and everything depends on how that operation turns out. If he comes back as the Jack Eichel that everyone expects him to be, it is a superb trade for the Knights. If he is not able to play, as he's not able to play now, Buffalo fleece them. It's that simple.
Well, when you preface the surgery, anytime you're talking spine, neck,
right?
But it's such a crapshoot. We've all had friends who've had back surgery, and the recovery time is a lot longer than 4 months. I would anticipate it might be a little longer than that for Jack Eichel.
Oh yeah, you know better than I do. You're in the business. Yeah. I mean, this is something that you see often, and I don't see at all. But yeah, I've had friends who've had back surgery, and many of them have never been completely right again. This is touchy, and it's a big step for Vegas. And if Eichel turns out not to be the player he's supposed to be, then this will be semi-disastrous for Vegas.
Well, and we didn't. We need to talk about the rest of our show. Of course, we've got a lot of good things going on. Jason Hajdu will be joining us here in a minute or two. The new communications director, I guess is the right term for it, for College Hockey Inc., former University of North Dakota communications director, and he moved on. I'm going to ask him about the job he's moving from. It seems like a pretty fascinating place, but we'll talk to him about that. We have a U15 coach from Pilot Mound in our sponsored content, and the name is right around here somewhere. It is Kyle Nixon. He'll be joining us, 15 under coach, our U15. You can't switch that one around. And of course, then the last segment will be, well, a year from now, you and I'll be it won't be in Las Vegas. We'd be awful early for the game. 2022, October 29th. We will be in Las Vegas to watch University of North Dakota take on Arizona State. And we happen to have the coach of the UND's next victim. We are a little bit more victim than the Penn State Nittany Lions this past weekend. But Greg Powers will be joining us. So we have a lot of fun things going on here, my friend.
Yes, another tremendous show. Like we say so often, there's just so much going on in hockey. If it wasn't in the middle of hockey season, it would be easier to get guests.
Yeah, no doubt.
But we're very, very fortunate to be able to get the people we get. And we've had some tremendous guests since this show started. There's been 3 memorable shows. This is number 4, and I'm excited for it. I haven't seen Jason in a couple of years since he's moved away from UND. It'll be great to see him again. And I'm really enthused about this Arizona State program because it is another non-traditional market that is in the NCAA Division I. Part of the whole pantheon of Division I schools, and kind of in an odd place, as far southwest as you can get for the NCAA hockey programs. And it'll be a pleasure to talk to Coach Powers because he's been there from the start.
Yes,
since the day this program went from ACHA Division I to NCAA Division I. It's been a big change at Arizona State, and we'll have a chance to talk to him about it.
From our Valley of the Sun to their Valley of the Sun. Of course, their Valley of the Sun is going to get a little nicer over the course of winter. Our Valley of the Sun may turn a little colder, but, it's always great having Greg on. Building a new rink, a new facility, that's going to be exciting to talk to him about that as well. And, again, the opportunity to meet in Vegas next year. Now, I also need to have our folks understand that we do this show every Thursday, except on Thanksgiving. We're doing a Friday show. But next week, Hall of Famer Eddie Belfour will be joining us, along with the newly minted NCAA program athletic director at Augustana, Josh Morton, will be joining us next Thursday. So a Hockey Hall of Famer, a new program, exciting times in college hockey. You know, Scott, we talk often, you're listening to Game On KFGO 790 and 104.7 FM. We talk about the growth of college hockey. You know, Long Island University, all these new programs popping up. It's very exciting times to see things expanding coming out of COVID and where this NCAA hockey world can go.
Well, a lot of that had to do with that very interesting conversation we had last week with Bemidji State coach Tom Sartori, talking about the growth of hockey in the United States in general. And as hockey gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more schools are going to want to be a part of NCAA Division I. It's the program to be in. It's the program that's growing. The Big Ten network is a huge network, makes a lot of money for the Big Ten. And I watch a lot of college hockey on the Big Ten network. And to see college hockey being treated with the same kind of respect as Minnesota, Ohio State football. I mean, I think that says a lot for the game and the growth of the game. It is being treated, all of the media, certainly by any stretch of the imagination, but more and more media members are treating Division I hockey as the great game that it is. And it's getting more and more coverage. We're seeing more of it on television. Canada always has a big deal with TSN with college hockey. It'll be great to see more of that this year. And I just like to see UND more often. Back when we used to see UND all the time and became big fans of the UND program up here because we used to get UND on the ABC affiliate out of Grand Forks, but we don't get them like we used to. But it would be great to see UND more often than we do.
You know, and the growth of the destination game. Look at the number of people that traveled to Nashville last week. You know, the rink was full of 18,000 people, and 17,900 and something were UND fans. Didn't leave very happy after the game, but the event was the event nonetheless. That really does put things on the map even to a greater exponential amount because, you know, that's a big market that now understands UND hockey, how well they travel, and of course the financial part of it. You know, Vegas is very happy to have 20,000 people or more show up in Vegas next year and spend their hard-earned dollars.
I suspect every rink in America would like to see UND come to their front door.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, there is no question that UND hockey travels better than any other hockey program, maybe anywhere in the world, maybe any hockey program anywhere. And I'm talking the National Hockey League and certainly the American Hockey League, but nobody travels like UND fans. To see that building as full as it was, to see those kids walking into the rink, to that phalanx of fans, that was it was phenomenal. And I don't think people understand, certainly not in Canada, and probably not in a lot of places in the United States, how well UND fans not only travel, but spend money, go to the games, and become a major part of a city for a weekend. And we've seen that with NDSU football as well, to be fair.
Yes,
I mean, that those flights into Waco every year for the national championship have been pretty impressive. So I think that says a lot about UND and NDSU sports fans in general. NDSU has the football, UND has the hockey, and people in North Dakota love their teams.
Yeah, you're darn right they do. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to look for Jason. He's supposed to be joining us, but we'll, again, we have some of these issues from time to time. We'll deal with it. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Hopefully Jason will join us then. You're listening to Game On Hockey with Scott Taylor and Travis Dunn. We'll be back right after this on the mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM. Welcome back to the Nillis Law Firm studio and broadcasting on the mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM. This segment brought to you by, well, Jason's very familiar with this group. This is a golf center in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Jason's probably hung out there a little bit with the guys, bought a few clubs. I bought one yesterday. I had a putter fitting with Brian Leach, and it says I'm going to save 4 strokes per round. So that means I can turn. Well, no, I won't turn PGA Tour. They also have, though, Jason, they have SkyTrack. You know, ever hit a ball in your garage in the wintertime and, you know, you hit it into a net and you don't get any feedback? Well, with SkyTrack, you do. Improve your game with a variety of game improvement features, skills assessment, bag mapping, practice greens, and more. Practice your play on your terms, rain or shine or snow. 365 days a year. Accuracy. Play the world's most famous courses. Fun challenges, all of that at a price that you can afford. The Golf Center in Grand Forks has it. That's the 3001 South Columbia Road in Grand Forks, or call 701-775-0019. Brian Leach and the guys will take care of you. So with that, we welcome the new Director of Communications for College Hockey Inc., Jason Hajdu. Welcome, Jason. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you both for having me. Thank you.
How's Kansas City today?
Not bad. It's in the 50s. It's still tolerable. No snow yet, so that's good. It's all right. I just told you about the sandwich I crushed a few minutes ago. So loaded up with
tell everybody. Yes, brisket.
Loaded with brisket and coleslaw and whatever else is on there. So yeah, I'll try not to burp here.
Isn't Kansas City beautiful? Oh, that barbecue is stunning.
It's great. I honestly had never been here until we moved here. And we're in love with it. It's a great city. If you're into not just sports, but the arts and museums and music, it's a phenomenal city.
Have you been to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum?
I've been there a couple times, actually. Yeah, it's. I want to go back. Both times were a little hurried, but man, that's a gem. That's a phenomenal place, and it's actually attached. It's adjacent to the American Jazz Museum too, so
wow.
you can get a twofer and spend the whole day there. Yeah.
So with this new position you're taking, will you be staying in Kansas City and working, as we all seem to be working, remotely, or is the move in the future for the Hajdu family again?
No, we're going to stay put in the Kansas City area, and we're really thankful for that. The girls, our little girls, are pretty well settled in their school, and they're making a ton of friends, and my wife really loves her job, and we're near a lot of her family, too. And when we lived in Grand Forks, unfortunately, we weren't near. My family was the closest family up in Regina, which was about 500 miles away. So that's another benefit of being here, and we're very thankful that I can work remotely with this opportunity.
So what's your job going to be? What are you going to be doing?
Well, I'll be the Director of Communications, and there's a lot of elements that are similar to what I was doing at the University of North Dakota. There's a lot of feeding information to our media friends. We know they like to be fed with that information, and largely assisting with the organization's mission of educating aspiring hockey players and their families of the benefits of taking the NCAA path on their way, hopefully to an NHL career, but also on their way to getting an education, a quality education. So I'm going to be helping with the communications efforts, which includes digital media, social media, the website, all kinds of things, and putting together information for the things we present to these players and their families.
Obviously,
well, call me naive.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Call me naive, but I would guess that players in the United States are gearing up for that anyway, are they not? I would think that a lot of your work has to do with what's going on in Canada.
Yeah, there's definitely a heavy emphasis on Canadian players, and even a little bit of venturing into Europe. You want to create as wide a footprint as possible. Certainly in Canada, at least when I was growing up, we weren't all that familiar with NCAA hockey. Times have changed now. There's more technology and more information available. But you still want to make sure you're providing these families and these young players with all of the information they need to make an informed decision. And everyone has a different path. Not everyone's going to choose major junior hockey. Not everyone will choose the NCAA path. But you want to at least make sure you're giving them the information to make an informed decision and make the best choice for their needs.
Would it be fair to say that hockey's in your blood? You stepped aside for a couple of years. Tell me what position you're coming out of to go to this position. I read about it, but I forgot. So please fill us back in.
Yeah, I've spent the last 2 years at the National Museum of Toys and Miniatures right here in Kansas City, and it's actually on the campus of the University of Missouri, Kansas City. I've been handling the marketing and communications for them. Great place, great creative environment to learn a lot of skills I didn't necessarily have before, and just grow professionally. It's been really cool. I've been able to recharge the mental batteries too. but yeah, hockey. I grew up playing hockey. Grew up in the prairies of Canada. Hockey is in my blood. First as a young player, and then as a fan, and then as an administrator with the university. So definitely felt that itch every March the last 2 or 3 years, where there was a little bit of a void where I should be doing something other than sitting on my recliner right now. I should be grinding on game notes till 3 a.m. and hopping on a bus in the morning to a tournament. So I did miss that, and I miss the people in the sport. So I'm really excited to get back at it.
What are your greatest memories from UND?
Well, the obvious one is the national championship in 2016, and for the program to finally get over that hump that had eluded them for since 2000. An unusually long stretch, long drought for that program. To see them finally pull it off after all of the blood, sweat, and tears, literally so rewarding. But honestly, beyond that, more than any one single moment, it's things like seeing these awkward freshmen come in on day one, and then they leave 4 years later, 5 years later as developed young men, and they're well-rounded, and they have educations, and they're a little bit more worldly when they came in. And they have that bond with the program and the university. And those are the special things that I really miss. The games are great. You'll never be able to replicate that adrenaline of being attached to a team, even as a staff member, and matching that game day rush or the adrenaline rush after a big win. But the relationships I really, really missed.
You're listening to Game on Hockey on the mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM. You're listening to the voice of Jason Hajdu, the new Director of Communication for College Hockey Inc., and Scott Taylor and myself. Obviously missing the game. You ever still get the opportunity to put the blades on now in Kansas City and do a little skating around out there? You're from Regina, so you probably dominate when you're out there, don't you?
I wouldn't go there. Well, maybe in these parts. Yeah, I actually haven't put the skates on since we moved here. Our 8-year-old has been bothering me for the last 2 years. She wants to give it a try. And there are some outdoor skating rinks here in the Kansas City area. Artificial, of course. There's not a lot of natural ice around here in the winter. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to finally take her up on that offer this winter, get her on the skates and see if she's a natural.
When you played in Regina,
mm-hmm.
I know that for most kids playing, some have been set on the Western Hockey League, and maybe they didn't get drafted, or maybe there's not the interest that there was at 13 and 14 because they're smaller kids. Maybe don't have the experience that they thought that they might have had by then. But yet good hockey players. What's your message to kids in Canada?
Yeah, and like you said, I grew up in Regina. I spent half my childhood at the Regina Agrodome, a few games at the Moose Jaw Civic Center. When you're raised up there, that's the world and you believe that to be the center of the hockey universe. And it's the right path for some people. But the day I stepped on campus at UND, went to my first game, which actually was against the University of Regina. My parents were the only two people in the building cheering for the U of R. You just realize immediately you're stepping into a whole different world. It's just, NCAA hockey is such a unique moment in a player's career. The chance you have to develop on the ice and in the classroom, the amount of time you have to train and practice, it's unrivaled. And you combine that with the actual memorable experience of playing in front of your classmates and your best friends and that campus environment, that's second to none. You don't get that anywhere else besides college hockey. And you're seeing the proof in the numbers and the unbelievable success NCAA hockey has had sending players to the NHL. 33% of all NHLers played NCAA hockey. And that number is only going to grow based on the numbers of draft picks and rookies in the league this year. So that's what I would tell them. And then on top of all of that, 92% of everyone who plays NCAA hockey gets a college degree. It checks off just about every box you could want to check off as a young hockey player.
Yeah, that's well. What's your first thought? You're obviously going to sit down at the desk one of these days and take on the new role. What's the first thing you start to do? Where do you start this whole new process that sits in front of you?
First thing I'm going to do is phone Nate Ewell, the gentleman I'm replacing, who's off to the Golden Knights. I'm going to wear his phone out, I have no doubt. But really, I want to get into contact with all of the coaches around the country and all of the sports information directors and the conference PR directors and our media friends and establish that connection and see what I can do for them right out of the chute. There's the day-to-day things, like I want to wrap my head around our website and dive into that and see if anything needs to be updated and where we can do better on some of those things. But really, it's just a matter of in those early days, reaching out to the people I need to reach out to, introduce myself if they're not familiar with me, and roll up the sleeves and do whatever I need to do for them.
Well, I have little doubt, Scott, that this gentleman is prepared for what's ahead of him. He's been well trained at the University of North Dakota. Lee Bonet, you filled his shoes very well, my friends. Oh, that's a name from the past, too, for all of us. But we do wish you well. Hey, you know where we are, too. We're always available. We're doing this show right through April. So every Thursday night might be available. If you have a good story to share, we'll love to have you on again, my friend.
I will take you up on that, and that's high praise. Thank you. Lee Bonet is an absolute legend in our profession.
You got that right. Hey, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Scott, you can close it out, and we'll check it to a break. Say goodbye, my friend.
Jason, thanks so much. Thanks for coming. And again, we want you back, and we do want those stories. So let us know what's going on.
You can count on it. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thanks, Jason.
That's Jason Hajdu, the newly minted Director of Communication for College Hockey Inc. Well, we take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit of Buffalo hockey, our sponsored content. From the Nillis Law Firm studio and broadcasting on the mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM, Scott Taylor, Travis Dunn with Game On each and every week. Just a pitch for next week's show, November the 11th. It's hard to believe it's already that time of the year, middle of November. But Ed Belfour, Hockey Hall of Famer, will be joining us along with the new Division I hockey program athletic director, Augustana College, Josh Morton. So they'll be joining us next week. And right now, we got to pitch our sponsored content of the week, and we have with us a U15 coach, Kyle Nixon, is with us. And welcome to the show, Kyle. Great to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
Kyle, you're in kind of a tough spot. It's a first-time program for Pilot Mound. The U15 team just started this year. How have the first few weeks been?
Yeah, it's been a learning experience is the best way to describe it for myself, for the kids, and I think even for the academy as a whole. Just getting a group of guys that are at this age, it's a lot different than the older groups. Just little things like them not having licenses and the ability to move around as easily as maybe kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old. So that obviously doesn't have a lot to do with what happens on the ice, but just a lot of little things that have impacted the start of our year from an on and off ice perspective. But we've improved just being on the ice every day. We've had more competitive moments than non-competitive ones, which I think is good. And our mindset, I think, is just to keep getting better and see where we're at Christmas and then kind of reevaluate. And hopefully we can be consistently competitive with the teams we play in our league and some of the exhibition games we've lined up too.
You talk about the Pilot Mound Academy. To us, it's relatively new in this area. If someone's looking for somewhere to go play the game of hockey, let's throw the name Rod Collins out there. And a little bit of his history with academies. Notre Dame Hounds from 89 and 97. The Wenatchee Wild of the British Columbia Junior League, managed that for a couple of years. Also at Shattuck St. Mary's. How do you lean on him for advice as you grow what's going to be a very impressive place in Pilot Mound, Manitoba, to be like those programs?
Yeah, I think there's nobody better to lead Pilot Mound as the academy hockey world grows, as this academy itself continues to grow and add more teams. Rod's connections across the hockey world in Canada and the United States are, from what I've seen, second to none. He's excellent recruiting. Pretty much a lot of kids that I've talked to are parents. Rod's like, oh, I coached that kid's dad, or I coached that kid's uncle, or I played with this person or that person. So just to have that familiarity with people from all over the place, I think makes a big difference. And he's been at it for a while, started this academy with his family in his hometown, and he puts a ton of time into it. So for me, being new to the community and new to the academy, he's been nothing but supportive and just an amazing resource for me to kind of start to feel comfortable here.
You have a coaching background at a lot of different levels. Tell us where you came from and how you got to Pilot Mound.
When I started my high school teaching career at Stonewall Collegiate, one of the first things I did was get involved with the high school hockey program. So that kind of dipped my toes in the water with that, took over that program from one of the other teachers that was there, and learned a lot, again, on and off the ice from a budgeting standpoint and managing a team and scheduling games and doing things that aren't just blowing the whistle on the ice. So that was a really good experience. And in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, it's actually, if you play in that top division, it's a fairly decent level of hockey where a lot of guys go on to junior hockey careers. So that was good for me. And then I kind of went from there into the MMJHL, which is a junior league in Winnipeg, just a level below junior A. And again, a lot of guys that have had AAA experience or some junior A experience that have decided their ticket in life is university and to work, but still quality hockey players. So got involved with the Charleswood Hawks, which is one of the premier organizations in that league, learned a lot from the leadership there. And then from there went through the Hockey Canada high performance coaching. I went through a master's program, which is designed for phys ed and also coaching and education. So over the last decade, I've tried to educate myself and learn from the experiences that I've had at coaching grade 9, 10, 11, 12 student athletes to university aged kids 18 to 21 years old. So it's been a lot of different experiences that I think have kind of led me to this point.
You look at, we've had obviously guests on from Pilot Mound the last 3 or 4 weeks now that we've been on the air for our first year of Game On Hockey. You're listening to Game On Hockey, by the way, on the mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM. Talking to the staff, the people that are interacting with, like yourself, interacting with these young women and boys who are chasing their hockey dreams, master's levels education. This is not a place you're going just to have a kid go and play hockey. The education is extremely important. And you understand that as well as anyone, being trained the way you are.
Yeah, I definitely value the student side of being a hockey player here at the academy. For the kids that are able to make a living out of hockey, that's great for them. But for most people, whether you go through a junior hockey program, it usually leads to school at some point. And for me and my family and the experiences that I've had personally in hockey, I know that hockey's been great, but school's been what's been able to put food on the table. So I really value that. I teach at the school. My job out here is currently teaching the minor age of the kids that I coach. So I have this little grade 8 class of all these little hockey boys, and they're learning probably as much of what it means to be a student athlete as what it does to actually be a hockey player at this level. So I enjoy both sides of it. And I think if you can hold kids accountable as hockey players, it's the same thing at school. And overall, I think that helps them develop as people.
The other thing that's quite interesting about your program is that you're going to have a lot of players age out after this first year. So you're going to be out recruiting once again, looking for more hockey players. What would you tell a young kid who's a pretty good player in North Dakota that maybe Pilot Mound is the place to go?
Yeah, I think that was probably my first experience with the academy. Is once I signed on to teach and coach here, we were still in the process of recruiting players. So we were able to run some skates in Winnipeg once things started to open up after the pandemic seemed to be, I don't know if it's ever been under control, but those things became an option again. So that was interesting for me, talking to parents and kids at this age, just because to send your son to an academy when they're in grade 8 or 9, I think is a lot different when you're 16 or 17. And I mean, some people don't move away from home until, early, late 20s. So to have kids move away at this age, what I would promote in Pilot Mound is, from the hockey side of things, the facility is amazing. The ice time availability in the rink is maybe a little bit more of an option than if you're in a bigger center. So I think that's great. At the school, we're able to offer, through the school and through the rink, we're able to offer what I think is a fairly high level off ice training program. The community is supportive of the whole team. Like, without the volunteers in this community, I don't think the hockey academy even gets off the ground. So just to be in an area where it's so important and you feel valued, I think it's hard to put a price on that. So from that perspective, it's a great experience. I think myself and Danny Carroll is my assistant coach. I think they're going to become better hockey players, their own knowledge and understanding of the game. And the fact that they're on the ice every day, playing against some of the top prospects across Western Canada and all over North America that play in our side of the CSSHL. You're not going to find a more scouted, a higher level of competition for kids this age. So if you can make it up here and it seems like a good fit, there's a lot of upside to being here.
Well, that's stated about as good as you can state it, Scott. You know, if you're looking for somewhere to send that hockey player that wants to get an education, be found, get down to the University of North Dakota or beyond, wherever these college programs, Augustana, Long Island University, the opportunities are out there. We really appreciate you jumping on board, Kyle. You said it so eloquently, and I think that is what sticks out with Pilot Mound, Scott. The coaches and everybody through, masters trained people. These people know how to deal with and how to inspire youth hockey players.
You can't find a better place in Canada to send a kid who wants to be a hockey player than Pilot Mound Hockey Academy.
Or in North
Small
Dakota.
Town, everybody loves it. The community's behind it. The school's right there. The rink is accessible. It's got everything you need to become a better hockey player. And if you're a small town kid, it's not going to blow your doors off. You're gonna basically be going to another small town.
Hey, Kyle. Thanks for joining us on the big show. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to following your U15 team all season long.
Thanks a lot, fellas.
Thanks, Kyle. See you soon.
Pilot Mound Academy, Kyle Nixon. Hey, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be going from this Valley of the Sun to that Valley of the Sun. Phoenix, Arizona. The head coach of the Arizona State University Sun Devils, Greg Powers, joins us after this break. You're listening to Game On Hockey with Scott Taylor and Travis Dunn on the Mighty 790. 790 KFGO from the Nillis Law Firm studios. And Nillis Law Firm, you're going to need an attorney at some point in your life. You have wills, you have all sorts of things you have to get taken care of. Well, established in the 1900s, the Nillis Law Firm provides legal services in more than 10 areas of practice, including business and corporate law, estate planning, wills and trusts, probate, commercial litigation, adoption services, and real estate. A division of Nillis Law Firm is Northern Title, which provides complete closing and escrow services along with title insurance policies for all types of real estate transactions in North Dakota and Minnesota. Call Nillis Law Firm at 701-237-5544 or look them up on the World Wide Web at nillislaw.com. And we appreciate their support. That's why we call it the Nillis Law Firm Studio each and every week. Scott, the hockey world, well, let's look at UND's schedule here in the next little while. Oh, by the way, let's back up a step. How can we follow Scott on Twitter?
S. Taylor Sports, at S. Taylor Sports.
Okay.
And it's pretty much all hockey all the time.
That's what you do.
We dip our toe into football. Well, yeah, I also do another magazine that's other sports. So we do dip a toe into things like football and basketball and some baseball. But for the most part, it's hockey. And it's just like this show, my friend. Game On Magazine, best hockey magazine in the world, if I do say so myself.
And how do you look at it, Scott?
What's that?
How do we look at it?
Online at gameonhockey.ca. Gameonhockey.ca. Just sign in, leave them your email address, and you can sign in for free and read the magazine online. The last one was 192 pages, the best in hockey in Manitoba and throughout the National Hockey League.
And we talk about right there in Winnipeg, we talk Scott, a former UND hockey player who's now coaching up there at with the Winnipeg Ice, and actually have the number one ranked junior hockey program in the country of Canada. Is that not correct?
Yes, James Patrick's Winnipeg Ice are the number one team in the country. And of course, we talked about Peyton Krebs earlier, who was just traded for Jack Eichel. Peyton Krebs, one of the stars on that team, a team that is loaded with stars. Matt Savoie, Carson Lambos, who is going to be a Minnesota Wild. And we were talking about the big week for Manitoba hockey players. Seth Jarvis scored his first goal last night for Carolina, and a beauty it was. If you haven't seen it yet, go on to the NHL.com website and have a look at that goal. It's pretty spectacular. And Kalen Addison made his debut with the Minnesota Wild as well. It's great and he scored his first goal. So great to have Kalen Addison playing in the National Hockey League. It looks like maybe on a regular basis, he might be around for a while.
Let's talk about this Minnesota Wild hockey team. It started out red hot, cooled off a little. An overtime win over Ottawa a couple days ago. A depleted Shane Pinto not in the lineup due to a shoulder injury. What do you think this Wild team is going to be over the course of this season?
I think they'll be a good hockey team. I think everybody believes that. And when we had Kevin Gorg on, I think it was pretty clear that if they get the goaltending that they need to get, like everybody else in the NHL, I've never seen the league as close. There are teams that aren't doing well. They're not doing well because their goaltenders haven't been very good. The National Hockey League is really a competitive, you can win any night kind of league. They say on any given Sunday. That's not necessarily true anymore. But in the National Hockey League, on any given evening, anybody can win in that league. And as a degenerate gambler who never bets more than $3 a game on bet365.com, I got to tell you, I've had a chance early in the year to make a lot of money on the Detroit Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators, the Chicago Blackhawks, teams that people don't think are going to be contenders at all in this league because they're taking advantage of early season opportunities when teams are still trying to get their bearings. So you look at the Minnesota Wild, winning now is really important because they can't take those points away from you in March. No matter what people say about the NHL not getting really, really competitive until January and February, it's really competitive right now. And a lot of teams just starting to get their act together. As you mentioned, the Wild started red hot, kind of slowed down a bit, but injuries and COVID and all of that stuff is going to take its toll as this season goes along. The key for Minnesota, get good goaltending, keep the puck out of their own net, and then get the scoring that they've got from Kaprizov and Fiala and those kinds of scorers, because they have scorers on that team. And when that team gets revved up, it's going to put a lot of pucks in the net. It's going to be a very exciting hockey team and will battle with the likes of Winnipeg and Colorado and St. Louis for a playoff spot in the West.
And you know where else you can watch us? You can watch us on radio, which is, again, beyond us. We on Zoom, we are on YouTube Live. And with that, we open the door, we walk in, and we see all these beautiful Arizona State jerseys behind the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils at the Valley of the Sun South, because we're the Valley of the Sun North right now. It's spectacular up here. Coach Greg Powers, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, you got to love the virtual backgrounds on Zoom. You can do some creative things, though, right?
Yeah, and my co-host is Scott Taylor, by the way. You've never had an opportunity to meet him. Scott, introduce yourself to Greg Powers.
Greg, I'm an old hockey guy from north of the border here in Canada, and I've kind of followed this development of Arizona State's hockey team with great interest, because if there is ever a non-traditional market for college hockey in the United States, it's the program that you've built there at Arizona State. And this is a program, I understand, started out of basically pickup hockey in the early 80s in Phoenix.
Yeah, essentially that's correct. I mean, it was a fledgling club program for a good 20 some odd years, and then it became got a little bit of steam and became more organized. And as club hockey started becoming more serious and a little bit better of a brand of hockey, it grew with it. And and here we are. We're in year 6 this is our 6th full season as an NCAA program, and we're proud of what we've done and excited for what lies ahead.
Tell us a little bit about the ACHA. There are a lot of kids from Canada who end up going down to schools like Minot State and Lindenwood, playing at these ACHA schools. Tell us about that competition.
It's really good hockey. I mean, it really is. And that's what like the average sports fan, that isn't a college hockey buff doesn't understand. I mean, college hockey is different than college football and basketball. There's 61 Division I programs. There's no Division II, and there's, a small amount of Division III schools, not like in basketball, there's over 300 Division I programs. In football, there's 111 Division I programs. So there's too many good players, essentially, in our sport for the amount of stalls available in Division I hockey. And that was really the way that when we were an ACHA program that I recruited and made people understand, hey, you get to come to the big school like Arizona State, get the major atmosphere that a place like this provides, and a degree from a massive institution with a huge alumni base, and you still get to play the game you love at a really high level. It's not scholarship hockey, but and many programs across the ACHA, it's every bit as good as Division III, like Minot State and Liberty and programs like that. They have tremendous programs.
Well, one thing you're not now is an equipment manager. You were an equipment manager in the ACHA. Back in your day, you drove the bus. You were the equipment manager. Yeah. You did everything. Are you Are you actually out like hooking the bolts into the girders, building the new hockey rink that's being built for you?
No, that wouldn't be good. I'm not very handy. But I was down there today. I've done a lot of tours with different people, either recruits or current players or families, or we're trying to get as many people in there to see how cool this building is going to be as possible. And it's really humming. We're really proud of what we're going to have here. And it's been, as you know, Travis, a really big challenge, building the program out of a community ice rink. And we're proud of what we've done, but we really can't wait to get into this thing. It's going to be just an unbelievable facility.
Historically, hockey is the 3 M's. Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota. And historically, the best hockey players have gone to the big schools, and not just Boston College or Boston U, but Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota. You're a fledgling program, 6 years old. How is recruiting? And I'm guessing it's probably not as hard as it might sound like, because if I was a kid who was a good player and somebody asked me to spend the winter in Phoenix, I'd give that some serious thought.
Yeah, recruiting's really, it's going great for us. Obviously, it's going better now than it ever has, because we're moving into a $115 million arena next year with first-class amenities in every way. So now that we're able to show kids that, it's changed the level of conversation we're having on a daily basis with prospects. And we've built our program through older, maybe diamonds in the rough, transfer type kids, because we really didn't have a choice. And we've had success with those kids and kind of that blue collar mentality, giving kids second chances. And we've done a really good job, and had a lot of success. And we have on this team alone, 2 kids that played at Boston College. We have, a kid that played at Miami of Ohio. We just had a kid that played at Michigan. We have a kid that was last year's captain at Michigan playing for us. We have a kid that was at Notre Dame last year and was one of their top players and assistant captain. And they're all coming here and thriving, and we're proud of that. So we're almost at a crossroads now as a program, where now, if you look at our roster, our younger guys are the ones really scoring a lot for us. And those are the kids that have been committed to us for a while and that were promised this new arena, and they're coming here to play in it, and they know it's coming. And so the caliber of kid is really raising as the program's growing and resources are starting to come that we know we need to be sustainable over the long term.
You're listening to Around the Rink. That's my Saturday show, Game on Hockey, with Scott Taylor and Travis Dunn on the mighty 790 KFGO. A little confusing some days, 104.7 FM as well. You talk about destination games. It's perfect. Announced yesterday, October 29th, 2022. You get to take your team to Las Vegas and experience the, they call it Fighting Sioux Nation up here, but Hawk Nation as well. I guess you have to go both ways. But the destination game, how much does that help in your recruiting, knowing that you're going to go to a destination game and play at University of North Dakota?
It's awesome. When Brad presented the opportunity, it wasn't even an option. We I pounced on it and said we're in, and it was well over a year ago now, and obviously it's just getting announced, but it's really cool. We try to do these cool things as a program. We've been in a tournament in Las Vegas. It was in our first full season. We actually won the tournament. And it was our second full season. I'm sorry, but it was really where we felt our program starting to turn and change for the better when we won that tournament with 3 other really good teams in it. We want to do these cool types of events, and we went to China 2 years ago and played in a tournament in Beijing against pro teams and won that. So we want to be outside of the box and give our guys, really good life opportunities and cool experiences while they're here. And this is certainly going to be one, playing in T-Mobile against a great program with, the best fan base in college hockey.
I suspect that your fan base will be pretty fired up for that one, because it's not that far to go. It's going to be harder work for folks from Grand Forks to go to Vegas. Well, not that hard, because the Allegiant flight's a couple hours and people will be taking the charters out. But
yeah.
I think it'll be a full house and quite an experience for everybody.
It will be. We'll have a good amount of people up there too. I mean, we have a largest alumni base in the U.S. And so everywhere we go, we're very well supported on the road, especially out east. But up in Vegas, like you said, it's 4-hour drive away. It's a 30-minute flight, and we'll get a good amount of people to go up. And I would be shocked between the proximity between us and Las Vegas and how well the fans up in Grand Forks support their program that it wouldn't be sold out.
One thing what we tend to forget is how supportive coaches are of other programs across the country. You said Bradbury reached out to you to talk about this destination opportunity in Las Vegas next year. Obviously, that fraternity of coaches is a very tight one.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is. And he's a great guy. And really the body of the entire college hockey has been great to us and allowed us to grow in such a positive way. We're in the last season. A great example of that is we're in the last season in this old barn that we play in, and we love it. It's been good to us. We're excited for what lies ahead, but everybody knows we're moving into this Taj Mahal next year, and we have 20 home games this year. Nobody called and said, hey, we're not going to come to you because, we know you're moving into this new building. We're going to push it off a year. And nobody even tried to pull that. They know we need home games, especially after what our kids went through last year to play with no home games. And they're just supportive. They're supportive of new programs. And that's what we all want to see college hockey grow. And we want to see more programs brought into the fold. Anchors just got reinstated. One of the first calls I made was, hey, I'm calling to see if you want to play. And we don't just have to have you here. We'll come to you too. You need home games as a new program to grow and flourish. And it's important that we support each other in that way.
I think it's sad that pro teams, historically, not so much lately, but historically, you put an expansion team into pro hockey, and the team isn't very good for a long time, and many of them don't make it. Back in the 70s, certainly a lot of them didn't. They kind of gave their head a shake for both Vegas and Seattle, and said, yeah, we got better give you some players and give you an opportunity to compete. But I look at college hockey as, I suspect every coach wants this Arizona State program to be successful. And they're not going to help you when the games start, but I suspect they're going to try to do the best they can to help you out to build this program and make it successful, because there's only 61 Division I programs.
Well, I think the body knows it needs Arizona State to succeed, because while it's exciting that smaller schools are coming on like LIU and Augustana, we want to see, Washington and USC and UCLA and Stanford come on, and that's our goal. Our pie in the sky goal is maybe in a decade we'll have Pac-12 hockey, and so for that to happen, we have to be successful, not only on the ice, but just as a program. And this building, I think, is really going to bring that to the table. We're going to be a revenue sport. We're going to be one of only 3 revenue sports at a major institution, and if we're netting a couple $1 million a year, which we anticipate we will, we want USC to look at that and say, if they can do it, why can't we? And I think we hope that's going to be the domino that falls, and I think that's why coaches are supportive of programs like ours. Like you said, they're not going to do anything to help you win, but they want to see us grow and add to college hockey, and I think they've all proven that.
Scott, we would look really good with Arizona State baseball caps. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. We'd wear them, on our YouTube channel, because we average 20 viewers a week, Greg. So just
hey, you guys, if you guys are in Vegas next season, you can count on me giving you some hats.
Hey, I'm going for sure, because I'm going to be cheering for the other guys. Sorry, but I have to do that. Hey, great having you on board. We'll do this again soon over the course of the season. Have you a couple more times and give us updates on that building, and maybe you could be in the building with your camera taking some pictures of it to show us how great that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited, and we're going to get everybody down here, North Dakota included, to play in that new building. So we're excited to show it off to everybody. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
The power of Zoom, my friend. We look forward to talking to you again. Greg Powers, head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devil hockey team. Scott, game's on the grow. We're going to Vegas next year, baby.
I'm really fired up about this program, and I love what he said at the end, that his dream, his goal is Pac-12 hockey.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be great to see Stanford, California, USC, UCLA, Washington State, Oregon, all of those places that have junior A teams.
Yep.
They have pro teams now.
Yep.
Whether the American Hockey League or the NHL, they should all have college teams.
And they should have radio shows that go an hour and a half and 2 hours, because an hour just isn't enough to keep introducing people to the great people of the games. It keeps going too quickly. But I'll be doing this again on Saturday morning. Colton Sanderson will be joining me, former 2016 national champion. He's now working with the Alumni Association. We'll talk what he's doing on a daily basis, and that'll be my Saturday morning show. I only have one guest so far. I got to work on a couple more tomorrow, but I'll fill it up, Scott.
Yeah, well, you have my phone number, so you've always got to.
Yeah, I always got that too. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, somebody has to fill in.
Yeah, great guest, Kyle Nixon. Great guest with Pilot Mound. Jason Hajdu. No one's going to do it better than Jason. He's representing well, and he'll do an extremely good job with college hockey and filling up on people. Filling people in on all things college hockey and making it the great game that it is. The people in it make it the great game, and with that, the great game that Scott and I get to talk about each and every Thursday. We'll see you next Thursday when Eddie Belfour, Hockey Hall of Famer, joins us, and Josh Morton, Augustana. The game is growing. Number 62 or 63. I'm not sure which one it'll be, but 62 or 63 Division I hockey programs. For Scott Taylor, I'm Travis Dunn. You've been listening on the Mighty 790 KFGO, watching on YouTube Live. We'll see you next week.